I still remember the way the light fell across the living room floor that morning. It was soft, almost gentle, the kind of light that usually makes a home feel warm. But that day, it felt different. It felt like the light was quietly preparing me for something I had never expected. When my daughter-in-law told me to leave, I smiled instead of crying. It was not a big smile, just a small, tired one. The kind of smile you give when you no longer have the energy to hold anything else in your hands, not even your own hurt. I remember her voice, calm, too calm. She said, "I think it's time for you to go," just like that, as if she was asking me to pass the salt across the dinner table. My heart felt heavy, but not in a sudden way. It felt heavy the way a stone feels heavy after being carried for many years. It felt like something that had been waiting inside me, slowly filling up, until finally it reached the edge. I stood there for a moment, thinking I had misheard her. Maybe she meant something else. Maybe she meant she wanted a moment alone. Maybe she meant she needed space that day, not forever. But her eyes told me the truth, and I realized this was not a misunderstanding. This was a decision, a choice she had made long before the words ever reached me. I turned toward my son, hoping to see something in his face that would steady me. A sign, a spark, a bit of the boy I once knew. The boy who used to run to me when he scraped his knee, who held my hand when he was small, who whispered secrets to me at night. But he didn't look at me. He looked down at the floor, his hands in his pockets, his shoulders tight. And in that moment, I understood something I had refused to see for months, maybe even years. My son had been choosing silence long before she chose the words. I tell this story not because I want sympathy. I tell it because sometimes the quiet moments carry the loudest truths. And the truth that morning was that I did not belong in their home anymore. Not in the way I once imagined. Not in the way a mother dreams of aging, gently, safely, surrounded by the people she raised. The suitcase I had never fully unpacked sat in the corner of the hallway, almost as if it knew before I did. It was a small suitcase, one I had brought with only a few things, because I never wanted to feel like a burden. I told myself I was only visiting, even though I packed the sweater my son bought me years ago, the one I always wore when I missed him. My daughter-in-law stood with her arms crossed lightly in front of her, as if even her posture was trying not to appear harsh. But harshness does not need shouting. Sometimes it lives in the quiet decisions. Sometimes it shows itself in the way someone avoids your eyes. I wanted to ask her why. I wanted to ask my son why. I wanted to ask myself what I had done wrong. But the words refused to move. They stayed inside my chest, warm and heavy, like a secret that knew it was safer held than spoken. So I nodded, and she nodded back, as if we were simply agreeing on something ordinary, a schedule, a plan, a grocery list. But it was not ordinary. It was the kind of moment that changes everything so quietly you don't realize you are already on the other side of your life. I began to walk toward the hallway, feeling like each step was made of water, not weak, but slow, as if my body was trying to understand something my heart already knew. This home was no longer mine. This family, though still mine in name, had shifted away from me. There was a silence in the air, but not a peaceful one. It was the kind of silence that fills a room after someone closes a door a little too hard. Except no door had closed yet, not physically, but emotionally I heard it. A soft click somewhere inside me, a small ending. When I picked up my suitcase, the zipper rattled. It was such a small sound, yet it felt like it echoed across the whole house. My daughter-in-law stood behind me, not moving, not stepping closer.
My son still looked at the floor. I waited, just for a breath, hoping he would say something, anything, even a simple, "Mom, let's talk about this." But nothing came. Silence remained his answer, and silence, I learned that day, is also a choice. As I walked out onto the porch, the cool air touched my face. It was a gentle breeze, nothing sharp, but it felt like the world outside was reminding me I still had somewhere to go, even if I did not know where. The sky was a soft gray. Early morning clouds drifted slowly above the rooftops. Behind me, the door closed, not loud, just a soft, final thud. And even though I had heard doors close thousands of times in my life, this one felt different. It felt like the ending of a chapter I had not realized I was living in. That is how my story begins, with a quiet sentence, a closed door.
A home I had to step away from. And a truth I finally saw, though it was painful to understand. Sometimes the people we love are not able to love us in the way we hope. Not because they are unkind, but because they are carrying pieces of themselves we cannot see. This is the story of how I learned that. The story of how I left. And the story of how, in leaving, I finally saw what my son never saw. Before I tell you what happened after I left their house, I need to take you back a little. Stories like mine never begin on the day everything breaks. They begin quietly, in moments so small you barely notice them, in gestures you brush aside, in words you tell yourself not to take personally. Looking back now, I see that there were signs. Soft ones I didn't want to read. But before the signs, there was love. A deep, uncomplicated love for my son, Michael. He was my only child. And from the day he came into the world, he became the center of my days.
I raised him mostly on my own. His father passed away when Michael was 8, and from that moment forward, I tried my best to fill 2 roles. I was not perfect, but I was present. I was steady. I was his safe place. He grew into a kind young man, the kind who opened doors for strangers, who picked up things people dropped in grocery stores, who apologized even when he wasn't wrong because he didn't like anyone feeling uncomfortable. When he left for college, the silence in the house was almost too big for me, but I let him go with a smile because loving someone often means learning how to step back. He met Claire, my future daughter-in-law, during his last year of school. He brought her home one Thanksgiving, her hands full of flowers she said were for me. She was polite, soft-spoken. Her smile was warm but distant, like someone offering a hug without fully opening their arms. I liked her. Truly, I did. But as the years went on, I realized she moved through the world differently than we did. She liked boundaries, clear lines, neat spaces, things she could control. Michael, my sweet son, tended to bend himself to fit the people he loved. He did not see boundaries as walls, he saw them as suggestions. And perhaps that was where the two of them began to pull in different directions, though I didn't understand it at the time. When they got married, I stood in the front row of the small garden ceremony, wiping tears from my eyes as they exchanged vows under a white arch decorated with simple flowers. I remember thinking that I was witnessing a new beginning, theirs and mine. A daughter-in-law, I thought, was like gaining another child, someone who would grow into the family, someone I could love. For a while, things were gentle, not close, but respectful. She sent me birthday cards. I sent them housewarming gifts. We visited each other a few times a year. It was not perfect, but it was peaceful. When they bought their first home, I offered to help with unpacking. She declined kindly, saying, "We want to settle in on our own." I told myself not to feel hurt. People have their ways, and I didn't want to be the kind of mother-in-law who imposed herself. I promised myself I would let her lead, let her be comfortable, let her shape the home in the way she wanted. Michael called me more often than he visited. I understood. Life gets busy. But sometimes when I heard the tiredness in his voice, I wished I could reach through the phone and hold him the way I used to when he was a boy. Sometimes he paused too long before answering questions, and I wondered if everything was truly fine. But I didn't ask. I didn't want to intrude. I trusted that he would tell me what mattered. Years passed. Then came the winter when my apartment building started renovations.
The manager told all residents we needed to leave for a few weeks while they repaired the heating system. It was December. Snow had already begun to fall. Hotels were too expensive for me, and I didn't have many relatives nearby. Michael insisted, "Mom, come stay with us. It'll be easy, just for a while." His voice sounded hopeful, like he genuinely wanted me there. And I wanted to be careful, but I also wanted to feel close to him again, so I agreed. I packed lightly. I reminded myself over and over, I'm only a guest. Be helpful, be small, take up as little space as possible. When I arrived at their home, Claire opened the door. She smiled, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. Still, she helped me bring my bag inside, and I told myself not to judge things too quickly. People have off days. The first few days were calm. I cooked breakfast for them a couple of times. I washed dishes even when they told me not to.
I made sure the kitchen counters were wiped down, the living room tidy, my bedroom neat. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I just wanted them to feel I was contributing, not disrupting. But I noticed small things. How Claire stiffened when I opened a cabinet. How she corrected where I placed the spoons. How she said, "Oh, I usually don't do it that way," with a polite tone but tight shoulders. How Michael glanced at her each time I asked a question, as if checking if my presence was still acceptable. The house was warm, but something in the air felt cool. Not hostile, just distant, as if I was a visitor walking through a museum of their life, careful not to touch anything. One night I heard quiet arguing. Not shouting, not anger, just two people trying very hard to keep their voices low. "I just need space," Claire whispered. "She's only staying for a little while," Michael replied. There was a long pause. Too long.
I lay still in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I had already overstayed my welcome without even realizing it. Days became weeks. The renovations at my apartment stretched longer than expected, and each passing day, I felt myself shrinking a little more inside that house. Until the morning it happened, the morning when she finally said the words out loud. But before I take you back to that moment, you need to know something else. I never wanted conflict. I never wanted to be in the middle of their marriage. I never wanted to be a burden.
I only wanted to be close to my son again. That was all. The days that followed were quiet, but not the kind of quiet that comforts you. It was the kind of quiet that presses against your chest, the kind that makes you wonder whether every small thing you do is a little too much. I woke early every morning so I wouldn't be in anyone's way. Sometimes I would sit at the kitchen table with a cup of warm tea, listening to the pipes in the house settle, feeling the soft hum of the refrigerator. It reminded me of the mornings when Michael was a boy. He would come in with sleepy eyes, hair sticking up, dragging his blanket behind him, asking if I could make toast with honey. But now, instead of a child's footsteps, I listened for Claire's. Not because I feared her, she wasn't unkind, but because I didn't want to begin her day with my presence. She would walk in quietly, her slippers soft on the floor. "Morning," she'd say, a polite smile. Always polite. But polite can be sharp if you look closely. I would offer her tea. She always declined. "I've got my routine," she said once. It wasn't rude. It was just another reminder that I was outside the rhythm of their home. Michael, bless him, tried to keep things light. He joked. He asked about old memories. He told me about work. But each time he spoke, I saw Claire's posture shift just a little,
as if trying to pull him back into their world, the one where I was supposed to be temporary. And I knew that. But knowing something and feeling welcome are not the same thing. One afternoon, I was folding laundry, not theirs, only mine, at the dining table. Claire walked in and paused. Her eyes lingered on the neat little piles in front of me. "I usually fold things in the laundry room," she said gently. "Oh," I replied, smiling. "I didn't want to use the counter in there."
"I thought this would be easier." She nodded, but her face tightened for a second, like a string pulled a little too hard. It was such a small moment, but moments build. They repeat, they return in different shapes. A few days later, I bought some groceries, just fruit, tea, and oatmeal. Things I like, things that wouldn't take up too much space. When I placed them in the refrigerator, I made sure to keep them on a single shelf, neatly grouped. I didn't touch anything else. That evening, when Claire opened the fridge to start dinner, she froze. "Who moved the vegetables?" she asked softly. I didn't think she was talking to me at first, but then she turned her head. I looked at the fridge. "I didn't move anything," I said. "I only put my things on the bottom shelf." She hesitated. "I see." She closed the door a bit too slowly. Michael stood behind her, watching the two of us. He looked tired, not angry. Just tired, the way someone looks when they've been trying to balance too many things. That night at dinner, the air felt heavier than usual. Claire served pasta. Michael tried to start a conversation about the weather, of all things, but the silence kept slipping back in between sentences. I decided to break it gently. "Thank you for letting me stay," I said softly. "I know it's an adjustment. I really appreciate your kindness." Claire looked up, surprised. "I didn't mean to make you feel unwelcome," she said quietly. I get overwhelmed easily." Her honesty was gentle, almost fragile, and for a moment I felt closer to her. "I understand," I replied. "Please tell me if I'm ever in the way." She nodded, but she didn't say anything else. Michael reached over and squeezed my hand under the table. It was a small gesture, but his hand felt colder than I remembered. A week later, it rained heavily. The kind of rain that drums softly on the roof and makes the world outside look blurry. I was sitting on the couch, knitting, letting the rhythm calm my thoughts. I heard Claire come downstairs, speaking quietly on the phone. She didn't know I could hear her from the living room. Her voice wasn't angry, only tired, strained, stretched thin. "I don't know how long she's staying," she whispered. "Yes, I know Michelle meant well. I just need some space. The house feels so small." Her words dropped gently, like raindrops, quiet, soft, but unmistakable. I sat still, staring at the yarn in my hands. My heart tightened, not because she was wrong to feel overwhelmed, but because I never wanted to cause that feeling. I never wanted to make anyone feel crowded by my presence. When she hung up, she didn't notice me sitting there. She went into the kitchen, humming softly, as if trying to soothe herself. I didn't say anything. I didn't want her to know I had heard. But something in me shifted. A small understanding took root. She was not trying to hurt me. She was trying to protect her space, her rhythm, her sense of calm. And somehow, without meaning to, I had become a disruption. The next morning, I noticed she no longer tried to make conversation. Her movements were careful, as if she was constantly measuring how close she stood to me. She avoided crossing paths in the hallway. She stayed longer in her room. Michael's smiles grew thinner. He hugged me less often. He talked to me with one eye always drifting toward Claire, checking, checking, checking. A distance formed. Not sudden like a crack, but slow like cooling water turning into ice. I tried to make myself smaller. I cooked less. I kept to my room more. I made sure I left the living area spotless. But the quieter I became, the heavier the silence felt. One night, as I stood in the hallway, I heard them again. Not arguing, just talking. But talking in the way people do when they are trying not to let their words spill over. "This can't go on," Claire whispered. "I know," Michael replied. "I'm trying." We need our space back. She's my mom, he said, voice shaking just a little. I know, she whispered, but I can't breathe. I closed my door very slowly, my hand trembling just a little. I didn't cry, not that night. The tears stayed somewhere deep, waiting. I lay awake until the early hours of the morning, listening to the rain ease into a soft, steady drip. And in that quiet darkness, I felt something I had never felt before. That maybe love was not enough to keep you in the spaces you used to belong. This was the beginning of the shift, the quiet rising of a conflict no one wanted, but everyone felt. And soon it would reach the moment that changed everything. The next week unfolded gently on the surface, but beneath it, something in the house felt unsettled, like a book left open to a page no one wanted to read.
The mornings felt cooler. The rooms felt quieter. Even the sunlight through the windows seemed to fall differently, softer, as if it too sensed that something delicate was shifting inside those walls. I tried to hold on to the calm. I woke early. I made tea. I folded my blankets neatly. I stepped lightly through the house, as though the floorboards might complain if I put down my weight too firmly. But even with all my care, the distance between us kept widening. One morning, I baked a small tray of muffins. Nothing fancy, just blueberries and a bit of vanilla. The smell filled the kitchen, warm and familiar. For a moment, I felt like myself again, like the woman who used to bake for her son after school. Michael came down the stairs with a smile. "Mom, are those blueberry?" "Yes," I said, happy to see a light in his eyes. He reached for one, but Claire walked in just then. She stopped. Her smile was polite but tight. "Did you make those today?" she asked. "Yes," I said softly.
I hope the smell didn't bother you. No, she replied quickly, but she avoided looking at the muffins, or at me. Michael slowly put the muffin down. Something inside me crumbled a little, not because she disliked the muffins, but because of the way she carefully placed distance between my presence and their comfort, as if anything I created, even a small baked good, might shift the balance of the house. I wrapped the rest of the muffins in foil and set them aside in my room later, telling myself I would eat them slowly over the next few days. They tasted a little sad after that, but I ate them anyway. Sometimes you hold on to small things because they remind you of who you used to be. A few days later, I tried to vacuum the living room while they were both out. I thought it would be helpful. I wanted Claire to come home to a tidy space. But when they returned, she stopped in the doorway. "Did you vacuum today?" she asked. "Yes," I said with a smile.
"The rug looked a little dusty," she hesitated. "It's just, I was planning to deep clean this weekend. I had a system." A system. A way she liked things done. A rhythm she depended on to feel grounded. "I'm sorry," I said immediately. "I didn't mean to interfere." "You didn't," she said softly, but even gentle words can carry a shadow. Michael rubbed his forehead. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. I felt the shift. Another small step backward in a room that had once felt open. That night, lying awake in the quiet, I decided I needed to speak to Michael. I didn't want to cause trouble. I didn't want to stay where I wasn't easing their life. The next morning, I found him in the kitchen. He was stirring his coffee slowly, staring down into it as though searching for answers. "Michael," I said gently, "maybe I should find somewhere else to stay for a while." He looked up quickly. "What? Mom, no, you're not going anywhere." "It's been hard on Claire," I whispered. "I don't want to make things worse." He sighed deeply, shoulder sinking. "It's not you, it's just she gets overwhelmed. Work has been stressful. The house, life." He trailed off. There were too many pieces he couldn't say out loud. Or maybe he didn't know how. Maybe he didn't understand the shape of the problem any more than I did. I touched his arm. "We all need breathing room sometimes, even me." He didn't answer. He only gave a small, tired nod, a nod that said he wanted to fix things, but didn't know how. And maybe part of him was relieved that I had offered to leave first.
It happened on a Tuesday. The sky outside was pale, almost white, a quiet morning that looked harmless from the outside. I was sitting on the edge of the guest bed, folding a sweater I planned to take to the laundromat. I heard footsteps in the hallway, a soft knock. Then Claire appeared in the doorway. "Do you have a moment?" she asked. Her voice was steady, her expression calm. "Of course," I said.
She stepped inside slowly, hands clasped in front of her. She sat on the chair near the window, leaving space between us. "I want to talk about something," she began. Her fingers twisted gently together. She wasn't angry. She wasn't harsh. She was simply tired and honest in a way that carried weight. "I know you've been trying to help," she said. "I see that, and I appreciate the effort." I nodded, waiting. "But I feel overwhelmed," she continued softly. "The house doesn't feel like my home right now. I'm losing my routine. I can't focus. I feel unsettled." Her eyes lifted to mine for just a moment, a brief, honest window. Not cruel, not cold, just human. A young woman trying to hold her life together. "I didn't mean to make you feel that way," I whispered. "I know," she said quickly, "and that's what makes this so hard. You haven't done anything wrong, but I still feel this way." And that was the truth. Not every painful situation has a villain.
Sometimes it's simply two lives that no longer fit together in the same rhythm. Then she took a breath, a deep, steadying breath. I think it might be best if you found somewhere else to stay, at least until the renovations are done." The words fell softly, but they landed heavily, like feathers soaked in water. I felt my throat tighten, my heart slowed. Not shocked, not angry, just quietly broken. "I understand," I whispered. And I did. Even though it hurt, I understood. She looked relieved and sad at the same time, as if asking me to leave cost her something too. "I didn't know how to say it," she murmured. "You said it kindly," I replied, and she had. But kindness doesn't always soften the truth. He entered the room mid-silence. His eyes moved between us. He understood instantly what had just happened. "Mom?" he asked softly. I turned to him. "It's all right," I said before he could speak. "I think this is for the best."
He opened his mouth to protest, just slightly, but no words came. And in that silence, I saw the truth I had been avoiding. But he also wasn't going to ask me to stay. He was standing in the middle, trying not to lose either of us. And in doing so, he was losing a part of himself. "Mom," he said again, voice trembling, but the sentence stayed unfinished. I gave him a small smile, a tired one, the kind you give when you want to protect someone you love from feeling guilty. "It's all right," I said softly. "Really." But inside, a quiet ache settled into place, one that would stay with me long after I packed my things. Was when I finally saw what my son never saw. I spent the rest of that morning moving slowly through the house, gathering my things. There weren't many, just a few sweaters, some toiletries, the small framed picture of Michael as a toddler that I kept beside the bed. The air in the house felt different now, not heavy, not tense, just settled, as though the decision had already begun rearranging the space, making room for the life they wanted to return to. Claire stayed mostly in the kitchen. I could hear her washing dishes, though there weren't many to wash. The water ran on and off, a soft rhythm, a way to keep her hands busy while her thoughts stayed somewhere else. Michael drifted through the rooms quietly. He checked emails, or pretended to. He stood near doorways. He walked back and forth, as if crossing invisible lines he didn't know how to step over. None of us knew how to fill the silence. But sometimes silence speaks more honestly than any words can. I folded my clothes carefully, making sure everything fit neatly into the small suitcase, the same suitcase I had brought when I arrived. Full of hope, full of excitement,
full of the kind of love that believes it will find a home wherever your child is. Now it held something else, the quiet acceptance that love does not always mean belonging.
As I zipped the suitcase, I paused. I rested my hand on the fabric for a moment. I felt the weight of it, not heavy with things, but with all the emotions I had carried alone. There is a particular ache that comes from packing your life into a bag because someone you care about needs space from you. It's not an ache that wounds sharply, it's an ache that hums, quiet, steady, almost polite in its sadness. Around midday, Michael knocked on the doorframe gently. "Mom?" he said. I looked up at him. His eyes were red around the edges, though he had not cried, at least not where anyone could see. "Can we talk?" he asked. "Of course," I said, even though I wasn't sure I had any words left that could make things easier. He stepped inside and sat on the corner of the bed. He didn't speak right away. He just stared down at his hands, rubbing his thumb against his palm as if trying to smooth out a crease that wasn't there. "I didn't want this," he finally whispered. "I know," I replied.
Neither did I. He swallowed hard. She's been under pressure lately. Work, her family, everything. I understand, I said gently, and I did. Understanding doesn't take away the hurt, but it softens its edges. "I don't want you to feel pushed out," he said. "I love you, Mom." I placed my hand on his. "I know you do." He looked up then, his eyes full of something tender and uncertain. "But I don't know how to balance everything. I feel like I'm standing in two different places at once." That was when I realized something that made my heart ache in a new way. He wasn't choosing her over me. He was choosing peace, trying to hold his marriage steady, trying not to break anyone, trying not to break himself. And in that effort, he had been stretching so thinly that he barely recognized his own needs. "Michael," I said softly, "you don't have to choose. Truly, I will always find a way to be all right." "But you shouldn't have to leave," he whispered.
"Sometimes leaving is the kindest thing you can do," I replied. "Kindness doesn't always feel good at first, but it gives people room to breathe." He closed his eyes. A single tear escaped, even though he wiped it away quickly, hoping I didn't see. But I did. Mothers always see. Before I left, Claire approached me with a soft, hesitant step. She held a folded piece of paper in her hand. "I wrote this last night," she said quietly. "I didn't know how to say everything out loud." I took it gently. "Thank you," I whispered. She nodded, her shoulders rising and falling with a long breath. I hope you don't think I hate you. I don't, truly. But I need stability, and when things change suddenly, I lose it. I'm still learning how to cope." Her honesty softened something inside me. She wasn't a villain. She wasn't cruel. She was a young woman doing her best to stay afloat in her own life. "I don't hate you," I said with a quiet smile. "I never could." Her eyes glistened. She stepped forward as if to hug me, then paused, unsure. I closed the space gently and hugged her first. A soft, careful hug, one that didn't ask for anything in return. "I'm sorry," she whispered into my shoulder. "I know," I murmured. Sometimes "I know" is another way of saying, "I forgive you." When everything was packed, I rolled my suitcase to the living room. The house was still, too still, like it was holding its breath. Michael stood near the window, hands in his pockets, staring outside at nothing in particular. Claire lingered in the hallway, not wanting to hover, but also wanting to be present. I took a slow look around the room. The couch, the lamp, the family photo on the wall. Small pieces of a life I wanted to be part of. Not every day, but enough to feel connected. "Thank you for having me," I said softly. The sentence was simple, but it carried so many unsaid things. Michael turned toward me. "Mom, you can stay a little longer if you need." His voice trembled. I smiled gently.
That's sweet, but no, it's time." He nodded, though his chest rose with a shaky breath. I reached up and touched his cheek, the way I used to when he was small. "You're doing your best," I said. "I'm proud of you." Those words broke him just a little. I saw it. But he held himself together for both of us. Claire stepped forward. She swallowed hard. "I hope you'll come back for dinner sometime, when things feel calmer." "I'd like that," I said, and I meant it. Because forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. Forgiveness is simply choosing to keep your heart open. When I opened the front door, a cool breeze met my face. It carried the smell of pine and early afternoon warmth. The sky was bright, but not harsh. I stepped onto the porch. The wood creaked softly under my shoes. For a moment, I stood there with my suitcase beside me. I listened to the quiet street. I felt the sunlight on my hands. Then, behind me, I heard the gentle click of the door closing. Not slammed.
Not shut in anger, just closed, softly, finally, when I truly, deeply knew I had loved this home with a heart that didn't fit in it, and the space I thought I had was never really mine to keep. It hurt, a strange, small sense of clarity, a turning point, the beginning of understanding, and the start of everything that came next. I stood on the porch for a long moment, letting the breeze settle over me. The soft rustling of leaves from the maple tree in their front yard felt almost like a whisper, as though the world was trying to offer comfort in its own quiet way. My suitcase rested beside me, small and ordinary. I had carried it easily when I arrived, but now, somehow, it felt heavier. Not from the weight of the clothes inside, but from everything I understood, and everything I still didn't. I took a breath, then stepped off the porch and onto the sidewalk. The concrete felt firm beneath my shoes, grounding me in a way I hadn't felt inside the house. Michael didn't follow me out.
Neither did Claire, and a part of me was grateful for that. Goodbyes are sometimes harder when someone tries to soften them. Sometimes the cleanest goodbye is the quiet one, the one left unwrapped by words or last-minute apologies. As I walked down the street, pulling my suitcase along behind me, the wheels made a steady, rhythmic sound. Click, click, click. Each click felt like a small heartbeat. Each heartbeat felt like a small truth settling deeper inside me. I didn't blame them, not truly. I wasn't leaving because of cruelty or rejection. I was leaving because life had simply placed us in different emotional rooms. And some rooms, no matter how much love you hold, cannot be shared at the same time. I reached the corner and stopped beside a quiet bench under a large oak tree. I had already called a ride, and the app told me it would be there in 12 minutes. 12 minutes felt like both a long time and not enough time at all. I sat down gently, resting my hands in my lap. The wind brushed a few strands of hair across my forehead. I closed my eyes. For a moment, I let myself simply breathe. Across the street, a family was working in their yard, a father raking leaves, a small child jumping into the piles, a mother laughing softly as she brushed leaves off the little one's shoulders. It was a scene so ordinary that it almost hurt to watch, not because I envied them, but because it reminded me of how simple love can look when nothing gets in its way. I wondered if Michael and Claire would ever find that simplicity. I hoped they would. I hoped my leaving might give them the chance to breathe again, to grow into the marriage they were trying so hard to protect. A small part of me hoped that one day, in a future softer than this moment, they would think of me with warmth rather than unease. Love, I have learned, changes shape over time. Sometimes it stretches, sometimes it thins, sometimes it steps back to give others room. And stepping back does not make the love disappear. It only makes it quieter, gentler, more patient. I opened my purse and pulled out the note Claire had given me. The folded paper felt warm from being held in my hands. I hesitated before unfolding it. Part of me feared it might hurt more to read her private thoughts than to hear her spoken words. But the other part of me needed to understand, needed to see the whole truth, even if it stung. The letter was written neatly, in soft handwriting that curled slightly at the edges. It read, "I know I haven't made this easy. You've shown nothing but care since you arrived, and I want you to know that. The truth is, I struggle with change. When routines shift, I lose my sense of balance. It's something I'm working on, but I'm not very good at it yet. I need stability in order to feel safe, and I wasn't able to find it while you were here. Not because of you, but because of me. I am sorry. Truly."
I hope one day we can share moments without this tension. Thank you for being kind even when I was not brave enough to say what I felt. I read it twice, slowly, letting each line settle. It wasn't a perfect letter. It wasn't full of solutions or promises. It didn't magically erase the ache in my chest. But it was honest. And sometimes honesty is the closest we can come to peace. I folded the letter carefully and placed it back in my purse, not as a memory of pain, but as a reminder that all of us, every single one, are walking through life with fragile places inside us. Some people show their fractures openly, others hide them behind order or routine or silence. Claire's fracture happened to be change. Mine, perhaps, was loneliness. Both are human. Both deserve compassion. My ride pulled up, a small gray sedan. The window rolled down, and the driver, an older woman with kind eyes, smiled gently. "Are you Mary?" she asked. I nodded, gripping the handle of my suitcase.
She stepped out to help me, even though I told her I could manage. Some people carry kindness the way others carry keys, automatically, without thinking about it. "I hope you're staying somewhere comfortable," she said as we drove away. I hesitated. Then I replied softly, "I'm going somewhere peaceful. That's enough for now." She nodded, not asking questions. I appreciated that. As the car turned the corner, I looked back at Michael and Claire's house. It stood there quietly, sunlight resting on the windows, as if nothing unusual had happened inside. Homes can look the same, even when the feelings inside them are shifting. The walls hold the memories, but they do not reveal the tears or the quiet partings. I watched the house until it disappeared around the bend. Then I faced forward again, hands folded in my lap, feeling the warmth of the sun through the window. And for the first time in weeks, I realized I was breathing without effort. My chest felt lighter, not healed, but open.
Sometimes the turning point of a story is not the moment someone tells you to leave. Sometimes the turning point is when you finally see that leaving was not the end of something, but the beginning of understanding yourself in a new way. The car ride felt longer than it actually was, not because of the distance, but because of the quiet. A quiet that allowed my thoughts to settle, one by one, like leaves drifting down on a still autumn day. When we reached the small rental place I had arranged, a modest room in a long-term stay hotel, the driver helped me bring my suitcase to the entrance. I thanked her with a warm smile. Her kindness stayed with me even after she drove away. The hotel lobby smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and coffee. A soft radio played in the background, the kind of music meant to soothe travelers who carried long stories in their bags. The receptionist gave me the key, wished me a peaceful stay, and pointed me toward a quiet hallway lined with identical doors.
My room was simple: a bed, a table, a small window overlooking a few trees. I sat on the edge of the bed. For the first time since that morning, I let myself lie down fully, sinking into the mattress. The softness surprised me. It felt like permission. Permission to rest. Permission to feel. Permission to just be, without worrying whether I was taking up too much space. And in that small, ordinary room, I realized I hadn't felt that in a long time. People often talk about heartbreak as something dramatic,
loud crying, broken voices, hands trembling. But the truth is, many heartbreaks arrive quietly. Mine came in the form of a soft ache behind my ribs, a heaviness in my throat, a warmth in my eyes that I blinked away before the tears fell. I thought I would cry right away, but instead I lay there, staring at the ceiling, letting the quiet comfort me. After a while, I reached for my phone. A message from Michael was already there. "Mom, please text when you arrive."
I want to know you're safe. That alone eased something inside me. I typed back slowly. I'm here, safe and resting. Take care of each other. His reply came a minute later. I could almost hear the emotion caught between the words. I love you, Mom. I breathed in deeply, then out. And finally, the tears came. Not loud tears, just soft ones that slid gently down my cheeks, soaking quietly into the fabric beneath me. Tears for the home I had lost, for the misunderstandings none of us wanted, for the closeness that felt so far away, for the version of motherhood I had imagined growing old with. But mixed into those tears was something else, relief. A small softness settling into my chest, reminding me that stepping back wasn't failure. It was love, too. A different kind of love. A love that makes space where space is needed. I spent the next few days settling into a gentle routine. I woke when the sun touched the edges of the curtains. I made tea with the small kettle on the counter. I walked in the mornings, watching birds hop along the grass near the sidewalk. Sometimes I sat on a bench outside the hotel and simply existed. No one needed me, no one avoided me. I didn't have to tiptoe or shrink myself. For the first time in a long while, I felt steady. I called an old friend from my church group. She listened quietly as I explained what had happened. There was no bitterness in my tone, just a tired honesty. Sometimes love changes shape, Mary, but it doesn't disappear. Give it time. Her words washed over me gently, like warm water. I held on to them. 2 days after I settled into the hotel, my phone rang. Michael's name appeared on the screen. When I answered, his voice was thick with worry. "Mom, how are you?" "I'm all right," I said softly, and I meant it. "I've been thinking about everything," he continued. "She feels terrible, you know, Claire does." "I know," I said, "and it's all right."
"It doesn't feel all right," he whispered. "I feel like I failed both of you." My heart tightened. "Oh, sweetheart, life is not a test. You didn't fail anyone." "But I should have." He stopped, collecting himself. "I should have handled things better." I smiled gently into the phone. "You're learning, just like everyone else. Marriage is new, compromise is new. You're doing your best, and sometimes the best comes with mistakes." He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something I hadn't expected. "Mom, will you forgive me?" I closed my eyes, letting the emotion settle. "There's nothing to forgive," I whispered. "You are my son. My heart forgives you before you even speak." A soft, shaky breath left him. "I miss you." And that, more than anything else, told me that leaving had been the right choice. Distance had made room for truth. Room for reflection. Room for love to breathe again. Later that evening, I received a text from Claire. Just one line at first. "I hope you're okay." I stared at the screen for a moment, surprised by how gentle her words felt. I replied, "I'm doing fine. I hope you're taking care of yourself too." A few minutes passed. Then another message. "I'm sorry for how everything happened." This time I didn't answer right away. Not because I was upset, but because forgiveness is something you offer with intention, not speed. After a few minutes, I wrote back, "Thank you. I know this was hard for all of us." The dots appeared, that little sign she was typing. then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, she sent, "I want things to be better between us. Someday." I smiled softly. Someday was enough. Someday meant there was hope. Someday meant she wasn't closing the door. And sometimes, someday is all you need to begin healing.
That night, as I lay in the hotel bed, listening to the distant hum of cars outside, I realized something I had not seen clearly before. I had been holding on to an old picture of family, one where closeness meant presence, where love meant being physically near the people you raised. But love grows up too. It changes. It shifts. It finds new ways to exist. Michael didn't love me less. Claire didn't dislike me. We were all simply learning how to fit together without pressing into each other's tender places. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is step back far enough that they can see you clearly again. For the first time since leaving, I felt a deep, quiet peace settle into my heart, the kind that comes from accepting that imperfection is part of how families grow. The next morning, sunlight filtered softly through the curtains of my little hotel room. It wasn't harsh or bright, just gentle, the kind of light that touches your face like a whisper.
I opened my eyes slowly, feeling more rested than I had in weeks. For the first time, I didn't wake with the weight of worry sitting on my chest. Instead, there was a calmness that surprised me, a stillness I hadn't expected to find so soon. I made myself a cup of tea, the steam rising in delicate little twists. As I held the warm mug between my hands, I thought about my life. Not just the past few weeks, but the years before them. The years filled with raising Michael, working long hours, staying up late to help with homework, laughing at silly cartoons, comforting him through breakups, celebrating every small victory. It struck me then. My entire adulthood had revolved around being someone's mother, a role I cherished with all my heart. But children grow. They build their own homes, their own routines, their own worlds. And sometimes, without meaning to, they leave behind spaces that no longer fit the people who shaped them. It wasn't rejection. It was simply life unfolding in a new direction, a direction I needed to learn how to follow, even if it meant walking more slowly and carefully than before. That day, I decided to take a walk around the neighborhood near the hotel. The air was crisp, but not cold. Birds hopped along the edges of the sidewalk, pecking curiously at fallen leaves. I passed a small park where children were playing on the swings. Their laughter drifted through the air, bright and light, reminding me of the days when Michael used to run ahead of me, calling out, "Watch me, Mom!" I felt a warmth in my chest, not sadness, but gratitude. Those days were gone, yes, but they had been beautiful, and nothing could take them away from me. As I walked, I found a tiny cafe tucked between two buildings. The sign said Harbor Light Cafe. Something about the name felt comforting, as if it promised a safe place to rest. Inside, the walls were painted in soft colors. The smell of baked bread filled the air. A young woman behind the counter greeted me with a smile so genuine it eased the last bit of tension from my shoulders. "What can I get for you today?" she asked. "A warm cup of coffee," I said, "and maybe a place to sit for a little while." "Stay as long as you want," she said, and I believed her. I sat near the window, watching people pass by outside. No one knew me. No one expected anything from me. I was simply part of the world, quietly present, unburdened. After a while, the young woman came over with a small plate. On it was a slice of warm lemon cake, lightly dusted with powdered sugar. "This is on the house," she said. "You look like you could use something sweet today." I felt my eyes grow warm, but because kindness from strangers has a way of touching the places we keep hidden. "Thank you," I whispered. She nodded and walked away, leaving me with a moment that felt unexpectedly healing. I ate slowly, savoring the soft, bright flavor. It made me think of sunlight, of gentle mornings, of new beginnings. And I realized healing doesn't always come in grand gestures. Sometimes it comes in small slices of cake, in quiet cafes. Later that afternoon, as I walked back toward the hotel, my phone rang. Michael's name appeared once more. "Hi, sweetheart," I answered. "Mom," he said, "I talked with Claire today. Really talked. She told me about the letter, about how she's been feeling, and I realized how much pressure I put on both of you." "It's nobody's fault," I told him gently. "Maybe," he said, "but I want to make things right." The determination in his voice touched something deep inside me. "You don't have to fix anything," I said. "Life will settle on its own time." I want you to know I'm here," he replied, "and I want you in my life. I want Claire to know you better, not feel threatened by how close we are." I closed my eyes, letting his words sink in. "Oh, Michael," I whispered.
My love for you has never changed, but I want your marriage to feel steady, and that means giving you two space. You shouldn't have to disappear for us to be okay, he said softly. I'm not disappearing, I replied. I'm just shifting. We all are. There was a pause. You're stronger than I am, Mom. Not stronger, I corrected, just a little older. And for the first time in a long while, we laughed together, a soft laugh, a comforting one. That evening, my phone buzzed with another message from Claire. Would you like to meet for tea later this week? I stared at the words, unsure at first how to feel. It wasn't an apology this time. It was an invitation, a small step forward. After a long moment, I replied, Yes, I would like that. Her response came back quickly. Thank you. Just 2 words, but they held more than she likely realized. Gratitude, hope, maybe even the beginning of trust. Back in my room, I sat by the window, looking out at the dimming sky. Street lights were flickering on, one by one, soft, warm glows pushing gently against the early evening shadows. And in that soft golden light, I understood something important. Life was not asking me to let go of my son. It was simply asking me to let go of the version of motherhood that no longer fit the present. I could still love him deeply, still support him, still be part of his world, but because every stage of life has its own boundaries, its own rhythm, its own way of breathing, I felt a calm acceptance settle into my heart, gentle and warm. You're going to be all right. You're learning something new, and there is still love here. Because there was. There always had been, even under the misunderstandings, even in the moment Claire told me to leave, even in the silence afterward. Love does not disappear. It simply sometimes waits in quieter places. And I was finally learning how to hear it again. The day I met Claire for tea arrived sooner than I expected. The morning was cool, with a soft breeze that carried the scent of leaves. I took my time getting ready, smoothing down my sweater, brushing my hair gently, and glancing at my reflection in the mirror. I looked calm. Older, yes. Tired, perhaps. But there was a stillness in my eyes, a quiet strength that had grown inside me over the past days. I walked slowly to the cafe where we agreed to meet. It was a different cafe from the one I had found earlier, one closer to their home, a place we both knew. Neutral ground. A small sign above the door read Sweet Maple Tea Room, and the windows were decorated with little paper leaves. Inside, Claire was already there. She was seated at a table near the back, her hands wrapped tightly around a steaming cup. Her shoulders lifted slightly when she saw me, not with fear, not with dread, but with a guarded sort of relief. "Hi," she said softly when I approached. "Hello, dear," I replied, taking the seat across from her. The silence between us felt different this time. Not tense, just careful, like 2 people walking across a delicate bridge together, unsure of how much weight it could hold. "I ordered jasmine tea for you," Claire said, gesturing to the cup across from her. "I remember you mentioned liking it." The small detail warmed me. She did notice things, even if she didn't always show it. "Thank you," I said gently. The first sip was comforting, floral and warm. Claire shifted slightly in her seat. Her fingers tapped gently against the cup. She wasn't avoiding my eyes, but meeting them with quiet effort. "I've been thinking a lot," she began. Her voice held no defensiveness, only truth. And I realized something about myself. I waited, letting her speak in her own time.
I grew up in a chaotic home, she said. My parents argued constantly. We moved a lot. Nothing was predictable. So as an adult, I cling to routines. They make me feel safe. Her eyes lowered for a moment. It's not that I didn't want you there. It's that when things changed suddenly, I felt shaken. And when I feel shaken, I shut down. I get distant. I get controlling. Her honesty was something soft, something young, something human. I nodded gently. I understand. You were never the problem, she added quickly. I was. I didn't know how to tell you that without sounding ungrateful. I reached across the table and placed my hand lightly near hers, not touching, just close enough to offer comfort. Claire, I said softly, we all have places where we feel fragile. You don't need to apologize for yours. Her eyes glistened slightly. I should have talked to you sooner. I should have asked for help instead of shutting you out. I'm sorry. This time, her apology wasn't just words.
It was a release, one she had been holding back for far too long. I shook my head gently. Hurt doesn't always come from cruelty. Sometimes it comes from fear, and I don't hold fear against anyone. A soft, shaky smile reached her lips. A few minutes later, the cafe door opened again, and in walked Michael. He spotted us and came over quickly, a mixture of hope and nervousness in his eyes. "Hi, Mom," he said, leaning down to kiss my cheek. "Hello, sweetheart," I said, smiling warmly. He sat beside Claire, though he looked uncertain, glancing between us as though trying to sense the emotional temperature. "How are you both?" he asked. "We're talking," Claire said gently. "And listening," I added. He let out a breath, one he had clearly been holding for days. "Good," he whispered. "I'm really glad." We sat quietly for a moment. The tension that once existed between us had softened, replaced by something more tender, the beginnings of understanding.
I think, Claire began, her voice steady, that I held too tightly to things I thought I needed, and I didn't make room for you. That wasn't fair. It's hard to share your space, I replied gently. It's something everyone learns in their own time. Michael looked at her, then at me, his eyes warmer than I had seen in years. I want you to come over for dinner soon, he said. No pressure, no expectations, just family. The word family touched something inside me that had been bruised but not broken. I would like that, I said softly, but I also added, let's take things slowly. We're all learning new ways to be close. Claire nodded gratefully. Yes, she whispered. Slow is good. After we finished our tea, the three of us walked outside together. The late afternoon sun painted the street with warm golden light. There was a softness in the air, a sense that something fragile had been repaired, not perfectly, but with care. We reached a small corner where our paths separated.
Michael hugged me tightly. I'm glad we talked, he said. I am too, I whispered. Claire stepped forward next. To my surprise, she hugged me as well. Tentative at first, then tighter, like a young tree leaning toward the sun after a long winter. Thank you for meeting me, she said. Thank you for reaching out, I replied. We parted with gentle smiles, promises of better days, and the quiet knowledge that healing had begun. Back in my hotel room, I sat by the window again, letting the last light of day settle in my heart. The trees outside swayed slightly in the evening breeze. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked, followed by a child's laughter. It was ordinary. It was peaceful. It was enough. I reflected on the day, the new beginning, and I realized something powerful, something I had not fully understood until then. Leaving their home did not break our family. It allowed us to grow into a better version of it. Sometimes closeness requires space.
Sometimes healing requires distance. Sometimes love needs a different shape before it can be seen clearly again. And we were finally, gently finding those shapes. A few days after our tea together, I found myself walking with no particular destination in mind. The air was warm, and the late afternoon sky looked like someone had brushed it lightly with soft shades of peach and lilac. I listened to the sound of my own footsteps on the sidewalk, slow, steady, grounded. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't rushing to fix anything. I wasn't trying to tread lightly around someone else's comfort. I wasn't wondering whether my presence was too much. I was simply living, breathing, letting life unfold with its gentle rhythms. I passed the small park again, watching as a few children raced each other across the grass. Their laughter floated through the air, bright and carefree. It reminded me of when Michael was young, when the world felt smaller and time felt longer.
There was a sweetness in remembering, not a sadness, the kind that warms your heart instead of weighing it down. When I returned to my room, my phone buzzed with a new message. It was from Claire. "We're making dinner on Sunday. We'd really like you to come." I read it twice, letting the words settle gently into my heart. It wasn't an obligation. It wasn't guilt. It was an invitation, genuine and open. A moment later, another message came. "I'll make sure the kitchen is neat. I know you like clean spaces too." That line made me smile. She was learning me, just as I was learning her. Two women from different worlds, trying to find a soft place where their hearts could meet without fear. "I'd be happy to join you. Thank you for inviting me." It felt right. Not rushed, not forced, just right. Sunday arrived with clear skies and a gentle breeze. As I walked toward Michael and Claire's home, I felt surprisingly calm. Not nervous, not afraid, just present. The house looked the same from the outside. The garden trimmed neatly, the porch swept clean. But something inside me felt different this time. I wasn't approaching it as a place I needed to fit into. I was simply visiting, carrying my own sense of peace with me. When Claire opened the door, she smiled in a way I hadn't seen before. Warm, open, sincere. "I'm glad you're here," she said. "And I'm glad to be here," I replied. The living room was tidier than usual, though not overly so, just enough to feel welcoming. Michael peeked around the corner with an apron on, flour lightly dusting his cheek. "Mom," he said with a shy laugh, wiping at his face, "I'm helping with dinner, or at least trying to." I reached up instinctively to brush away the flour, and he didn't pull back. The familiarity warmed me. Dinner was simple: roasted vegetables, chicken, a soft loaf of bread, but the atmosphere felt different from before. We weren't tiptoeing around each other. The tension that had once filled the corners of the room was gone. In its place was something gentle, something fragile but hopeful, like the first shoots of spring grass peeking through after a long winter. We talked softly. We shared small stories. We listened without interruptions. We didn't rush anything. It felt like a beginning rather than a repair. "I really am glad you came." And this time, I believed her completely. When it was time to go, Michael walked me to the door. The sky outside had darkened into a soft twilight. Warm porch lights glowed around us. He hugged me, long and warm, but out of genuine love. "I want us to keep doing this," he said softly. "Being a family, in a way that works for all of us." I nodded against his shoulder. That's all I ever wanted. As I stepped down from the porch, Claire appeared behind him. "Good night," she said, offering a small wave. "Please text me when you get back." That small request touched me more deeply than she knew. "I will," I said, smiling. As I walked away, I didn't feel rejected or uncertain. I didn't feel like an intruder. I felt loved. Not perfectly, not loudly, but genuinely. And that was enough. More than enough.
Back in my room, I set down my things and sat by the window once more. The night air shimmered softly against the glass. A few stars blinked above the rooftops. I closed my eyes and breathed in the calm. And as I breathed, I realized something important, something I wished I had learned years earlier. Life shifts. People change. Families grow in unexpected directions. And love, if held too tightly, can begin to suffocate the very people we hope to protect. When you allow space for misunderstandings, apologies, growth, and forgiveness, love finds its way back. Sometimes in a different form, but always with the same heart. I had not lost my place in Michael's life. I had simply found a new one that allowed both of us to grow, one that allowed Claire to feel secure.
One that made our connection healthier, softer, and more open. As I drifted towards sleep, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. A journey filled with quiet heartbreak, quiet realizations, quiet healing. So simple, in fact, that I had spent years overlooking it. Love is not about holding tight, and when to gently step back. Stepping back does not mean stepping away. It does not mean giving up. It does not mean loving any less. It means trusting that the bonds you've built are strong enough to stretch without breaking. It means allowing others the space to become themselves. And it means remembering that you too deserve peace. I fell asleep that night with a soft heart, knowing that what felt like an ending had simply been a turning, a shifting, a quiet redirection toward a wiser kind of love. That gentle, wiser love brought us back to each other. Not perfectly, not instantly, but honestly. And sometimes honest love is the only kind that truly lasts.